I put out a post a few days ago saying that I'd recently just gotten back into float therapy. There's a service in my local area called Reset that we're really blessed to have, and it provides loads of mindfulness activities such as float therapy, salt rooms, saunas, massages, and they're actually going to be offering this VR meditation soon, which I think I'm going to make a video on as well, because I've heard loads of good stuff about it and I'm really excited to try it out. If you're not familiar with float tanks, then they are basically just another word for a sensory deprivation tank. You might have heard of this on Joe Rogan, or if you're into meditation, you might have just heard it about on Reddit, etc. They're scientifically proven to be extremely beneficial for loosening your muscles, putting you in a meditative state, relaxing the mind, and you really do feel an afterglow after you've used them. The actual process of using one goes a bit like this. So I go to this place called Reset, which is the place that hosts the float pods, and basically the person will guide you up and they'll tell you all about it, what are the benefits and any instructions on how to use it. So there's like a light button, because you don't have to be in full darkness in case you don't want to, because a lot of people do say they get claustrophobic, but I think if you're going to be doing it, you want to have all your senses deprived. You want to be in that full floating state. It almost feels like you're floating in space. It's really relaxing, and it's an amazing time for contemplation. So you get in there, you've got to have a shower, get all the grease and fluids off you to make sure you're clean and hygienic for it. And you have the option to use earplugs as well, just to make sure that you're not getting any sensory stimulation whilst you're in there. And you open this tank up, and for the one that I use, it's only an hour. I think it's like an hour. It's only an hour that you get to use it for. A lot of people use it for, say, 2 hours or an hour and a half at a time, and I actually think that would reap greater benefits, because it gives you more time to actually flow into the experience and get into a mindless, thoughtless state, a bit like meditation. It really is just like meditation on steroids, really. I'd recommend, if you're going to do it, I'd practice meditating maybe like a few weeks or two beforehand, because if you've never done it before, I guess it could be quite shocking. But for those who are interested in mindfulness and meditation, this is just a match made in heaven, really. It's almost like a cheat code for meditation. You just focus on slowing your breathing down as much as possible. It's really amazing. You get to a point where, like, you're breathing so slowly, your heart rate is basically almost feels non-existent, and this just removes any intrusive negative thoughts that you might have. You really just flow with the experience, and your muscles just loosen up. You're so relaxed. It gives you an amazing time to think about life in the most positive possible way. I just did it for relaxation at first, but I realised how much the meditation was benefiting me, and it went hand in hand with my meditation practice, which I've unfortunately been lacking in recently, which I really need to get back into. What I'd usually do is just sit down and put binaural beats on and just sit there and try not to think about anything, and I find that the binaural beats really help. And the float pod at my service actually does use binaural beats for the first 10 minutes and last 10 minutes of the session, so it sort of weans you in and then weans you out again. It's unfortunate that they don't offer longer sessions, because I think that would be even more beneficial. I'd fucking float in there all day if I could do, really. It's so unbelievably relaxing. And once you get out of it, you're just feeling completely refreshed. I'm in a great mood every time I do it. It also enhances my ability to focus and concentrate on things that I'd like to do. It enhances my enjoyment of just life, and what I do after it was make sure I go and get a really nice nutritious meal at one of the local cafes or restaurants in town, and I'd enjoy it even more so knowing that these intrusive thoughts have completely been eradicated and I'm just aware and present, eating and enjoying something. So it has great benefits, but I think you've got to do it a few times before you start really reaping the benefits deeply, because the first time it's like, oh, that's pretty cool, I'm feeling nice and relaxed, but you don't really start to experience the full potential of it until you've done about, I'd say, like 3 or 4 times. So I used to go once every month, but then I just forgot to do it because I was a bit short on money. And now that I'm back in a more financially stable situation, I've been making a vow to do it at least once or twice every month, because I think that's the best way to do it, really. It costs £35 for a session where I go, and I think even though, say, some people might be like, oh well, why would I spend 35 hours, why would I spend £35 just to float about in some salt water? But once you've done it a few times, you realise how massively beneficial it is for you mentally and physically. More so for me mentally, I'd say. I don't really suffer with a lot of physical problems, although sometimes I do get back strain, which it helps out with a great deal. It's mainly just for my mental state. I have a very erratic mind. I oftentimes find myself thinking too much, which is the main reason I got into meditation, is to try and slow the mind down and quiet it. And this just goes hand in hand with that, really. It's absolutely incredible. But for those who do have physical problems, I think this is a really useful tool for relaxing your body. I mean, when you get out, your neck and your back feel like they've had the deepest massage going. It eradicates all the tension. It also helps me with sleeping as well. I've suffered with insomnia a lot in the past because of my erratic, overthinking mind. And the days that I go for a float session, I just absolutely drift off extremely easily later on at night, which is just really hard for me to do. Like, I have a really fucking weird sleep schedule, which is mostly down to me just being a night owl, but also due to the fact that my body just doesn't know when to switch off, or my consciousness. So float tanks really aid me with that, and it's impacted my life in a really positive way. And 35 quid, yeah, it's a bit of money, but I'd rather spend more money on something that I know is good for me than binging on some absolute shite like junk food or drinking. So yeah, if you spend your money wisely, it really does benefit you in the long run. And I think this is a great thing to spend your money on. And I love supporting the local service with Reset, because they deserve all the money in the world, I think, because such an amazing feature that to have in your local area. And I know that it's helped so many people that I've recommended it to. A lot of you asked as well if I'd been in on psychedelics or edibles or weed or anything, and I think I've been in stoned before. I don't really smoke weed that much anymore. I just do it on the odd occasion. But when I first started out doing it, I was literally smoke weed every day, YOLO 420 thing. But now I'm definitely not at all. But yeah, I can imagine that being really funky if you went in on an edible, because that's far more psychedelic in nature, I find. My mate has actually gone in on acid, and he said that was really fucking out there. He was having some transcendental experiences. The visuals were just skyrocketing, he said. I've had a few visuals going in actually, because my mind you just become so calm and just one with the present moment. Like you forget there's even an outside world. You just become one with this space that you're in. Another really interesting after effect of the experience is that a lot of people, including myself, can attest to an improved sense of memory after the experience. I've had loads of abilities to delve back deep into my childhood and resurrect memories that I would never think of, and they become more vivid and alive. It's really quite interesting that it does this, because I guess it sort of declutters and defragments your mind in a way. It really is just like meditation on steroids, and if you combine that with, say, a psychedelic use in a spiritual sense and meditation, you could use this to catalyze your personal development. And that's just one of the greatest things about it. It encourages personal development and mindfulness, and I feel like services like these need to be in every city across the globe, really. It's so useful, it's insane, and I'm really glad to be getting back into it, because I've already noticed the effects over the past few days, the afterglow of using it. The only complaint I have is, I just wish you could do a 90-minute session or a 2-hour session, because the enormous increase in effectiveness would be insane, because it's already serious just having 60 minutes. Having 90 to 2 hours, that would be an extremely beneficial activity for your brain. One slight warning I will give you though is that you do not want to be getting that water on your face or in your eyes at all, because if you just have, this always happens to me sometimes, it's really annoying, and it's completely my fault because I was just careless. So you just do not want to be getting that water in your eyes because it stings to shit, and you have to get back out, get back into the shower, rub your eyes, and you probably wasted about 6 or 7 minutes doing that, and you paid for an hour, and you want to get the most out of it. You want to be in the best possible flow state that you can be in. You just want to be floating about, not moving, and getting it in your eyes is just an extreme distraction. Fucking your senses are not deprived when your eyes are absolutely pinging out your head, so that is less than desirable, I'd say. But other than that, I don't really have any complaints about it, and that's just a personal problem that I have of being careless with the water. So other than that, it's absolutely incredible, and you should definitely seek it out if you have a service in your local area that provides this. I guess they probably have them in a lot of major cities though. Where I live, it's not like a major city, Lancaster, but it's sort of skyrocketed its economy lately because there's a massive university that's, I think it's in the top 10 in the UK. So the students are sort of saving the town in a sense because so many of them will find benefits using that, which is really cool. And I think I'll update you again in the future because next week or in a fortnight's time, I'm going to be using the VR meditation where it's like you use this Oculus Quest, and I'm going to go for a flow and then a VR meditation session, and that will just be a seriously soothing, relaxing experience, I reckon. And if I did that every month, I think that would really benefit my personal development journey. And it's every time I go for a flow, it just reminds me how much I need to get back into meditation again. So that's my goal for this month, is to combine my flotation experience with a meditation habit to produce some great effects for me mentally, and that will hopefully translate into even better content for you guys, because when I'm switched on, I've got ideas popping in my head and I want to act on them because I just love creating stuff. Well, I just love creating videos. I wish I was more creative in other aspects, but I guess you can't win them all though. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little ramble. I hope I'm not too bad at doing non-scripted videos, because I do fall over my words quite a lot. But if you enjoyed this,
leave me a comment in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
But nah, seriously, just let me know if you want me to talk more about personal development topics, because I'm really into that, alongside obviously psychedelics, because they sort of work in tandem with each other. I don't really take psychedelics very recreationally anymore, unless I'm going to like some rave and then 2CBs on offer. That can be quite a nice experience, because it's a bit more like of a party psychedelic in some aspects, although it can be used to great effect for personal development. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and you should go and check out flotation tanks if they're in your local area, and do a bit of research into them as well. There's a lot of cool science behind them. The way the whole flotation tank has been engineered is that the water it's designed to match your body temperature. It's also got enough salt in it that you can float. Obviously, and it's all dark and there's no noise either, so yeah, that's how they deprive your senses in a way, to make you feel like you're floating in space. If you've used the float tanks before, please let me know as well what your experiences have been like. I know some people can say they start having like psychedelic visions, which I've not had yet. I've seen like some colours floating about and etc, but for the most part it's just been like meditation on steads, which is amazing anyway, but visuals on top of that would be serious, I guess. Yeah, so let me know, and if you've never been before, get yourself on it.
You'll be doing yourself a favour, kid.